I put it to you that your real opponent was not the NDP party, but the media party.
Mm-hmm.
The CBC in particular, and this is not because of my own grudge with the CBC. I have never, maybe since the time of Stockwell Day, seen an assassination attempt through media like I have.
Yep.
The CBC in January said that you or your office had sent emails
Yep.
threatening and pressuring prosecutors to drop certain prosecutions. They swore on a stack of Bibles
Yep.
it was real. The government, the civil service, the neutral civil service examined more than 1 million emails. None were found.
Mm-hmm.
Every prosecutor, every single one testified they had not received such an email.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in your office testified. And a former judge, Marguerite Trussler, said there was no evidence at all. This was all before the election. For 6 months, the CBC held on to that lie.
Mm-hmm.
Only yesterday, July 5th, did the CBC write a grudging correction that those emails never existed.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with wicked liars like that? I'm full of rage for, that's not journalism. They were your chief opponent. I put it to you, they were your chief opponent.
Well, and it's frustrating too, because what do they get? $1.5 billion from the federal government. And so they have the ability to do those kinds of stories, stick with them as long as they did, lie, and then, as you point out, grudgingly acknowledge that they lied and retract the story. I feel vindicated because at least we managed to get them to acknowledge that the story was just frankly untrue. It's
After
now
the election. That is election interference by a government agency run by Justin Trudeau. Tell me I'm wrong. Election interference.
They had an opportunity, and we tried to give them the opportunity to acknowledge, especially after we did the email review, that the emails didn't exist, and they chose not to.
Well, let me ask you a question. I remember when the CBC sued the Conservative Party of Canada.
Mm.
And if I recall, it was Andrew Scheer who was the leader at the time, and he still went on CBC shows.
Yeah.
And I thought, have you no self-respect? They're suing you, and you're going on the show. So let me ask you, Premier Smith. The CBC lied about you for 6 months, a wicked lie that did great damage to the reputation of prosecutors in Alberta, claimed that they were corrupt in some way.
Yeah.
They aimed for you. They also had collateral damage in the Justice Department. Do you think you should still deal with the CBC as a news agency, or do you think you should deal with them as a kind of Trudeau super PAC?
Well, they certainly smeared everyone. They smeared me. They smeared all my office staff. They smeared the independent public service. They smeared the Crown prosecutors. And they gave ammunition to my opponents to smear me some more. I mean, the NDP should also apologize because the NDP also went on.
Are you still going to do sit-downs with the CBC? Like they came to kill you.
I'll have to talk to my team about that.
Yeah, I mean.
You know what I've done? I will take their questions in a mediated forum because I do a lot of press conferences, and I think that's fair because I want to be the type of person who will take questions from everyone. But it is, I mean, I do have to consider if they aren't prepared to be fair, accurate, and balanced. If they're really only interviewing me in order to get ammunition to be the official opposition, I'm going to have to keep that in mind every time I answer a question from the CBC.
That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.